What is up, everyone? Welcome to Eagles on Air. I'm your host, Will Quinney, and you're here with my co-host, Owen Francis. All right, today we're going to talk about March Madness. So, two of the last four inning games just happened. It was Texas versus NC State and UMBC versus Howard. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if we're going off just brackets already, then I'm technically 0-2. I was hoping UMBC was able to make some magic from, a few years ago when they upset Virginia. But both games were quite close, actually, coming down the single scores. Texas beat NC State 68-66, and then Howard got the win 86-83 against UMBC.
Yeah, that Texas game, very defensive, I guess. I don't know. I didn't watch that one.
Very low scoring, but I still don't think any of these teams will be able to go,
Past the first round?
Past the first round. I just don't think so. But tonight, Wednesday, March 18th, we have PV versus Lehigh, which I have no idea, honestly. This seems like a pretty much of a toss-up. You just pick one of them and hope.
Lehigh, yeah. I'm not sure about that one. And then Miami of Ohio and SMU.
Yeah, Miami, Ohio, one of the obvious, stories out of this season, being undefeated for most of the season and only losing one game, but still being only an 11 seed. Just off, conference play and the strength of the schedule. But I've heard a lot about this SMU team. People are sometimes, they're actually pretty confident with this SMU team, and they are projected to win this game. So, obviously, we will see tonight. But first, in the East region for the first game, we have Duke versus Siena.
I got Duke, no question.
Yeah, I feel...
Siena, I think this is maybe the third time I've heard of them ever.
Yeah, this could be maybe a Norfolk situation like last year.
And I don't think Duke would even need to play half their roster to win this game.
No.
If I'm going to be honest.
I know Duke has been, on questions because they have I've heard a few of their players might be a little bit injured right now, but I honestly don't think they need to. I'm honestly not even sure if they need to play Boozer for this first game. I mean,
maybe just get him in there, get him used to the feel of it.
But on the analytics, it shows that in 100% in odds to win for Duke, 100% picked over this Siena team.
All right, next we got Ohio State and TCU.
This could be the Louisville and Creighton last year. Honestly, this is probably this could be the most fair matchup that we've seen all March Madness. I feel like this could go, any other way. Ohio State coming in from the Big Ten, 20-11. With the TCU coming out of the Big 12, 21-10. It seems that there's more of a favorable pick, 63% for Ohio State, while 37% of people are picking TCU. But I honestly still think that TCU, I personally am saying TCU, I think is going to win this game.
Yeah, look at their notable games. I'm pretty sure you have them up right there.
So, TCU, just honestly, what I've seen... or I've kind of heard about, let's go through TCU's games here. TCU has beaten Florida very early in the season. They've lost a very close 100-point thriller against the Jayhawks. They lost by less than 10 to Arizona, which is arguably one, top, probably the top team or top three teams. They lost to BYU by 2 scores. They lost to Houston by 3 scores. They beat Iowa State, they beat Texas Tech, and they yet again lost the Jayhawks by a very close score, 78-73. So it obviously can see that this TCU team is played against very strong teams, and they definitely have the edge when it comes into this matchup. But Ohio State is nothing to scoff at. They've had a few close games against Michigan, obviously the number 1 seed, Illinois. They've gotten a pretty good win against Wisconsin. How Wisconsin are I'm hot after being so close to beating Michigan in the tournament, and they've also beaten Purdue, which Purdue this year is kind of I'm not really sure how they're faring for a 2 seed, but in this game it could go either way. In about my brackets they've been about maybe a 50-50 pick, but I still think TCU has this game.
I'm actually looking at their offensive and defensive stats right now. TCU has the upper hand in both of these. They have lower turnover rates, more offensive rebounds, which is a huge part. Second chance points are one of the most underrated stats. Because if you can get second chance points, then you're going to win.
Yeah, especially in this, in this tournament format, you're not playing, this is a one and done. You gotta, you have to have the best game of your life to win each game. You can't go, you can't be missing shots and expecting, and you can't be out rebounding and expecting to win just one singular game. But next on here, we have St. John's versus Northern Iowa. In this game, I've seen some people talk maybe an upset possibly, but I don't
think there will be.
I don't think so. I think St. John's coaching, just the experience they've had. I mean, I know that they recently were they a 2 or 3 seed last year?
I don't remember.
I want to say they were a very high seed, and they were a favorite. They were one of the top, they weren't like a top 4 pick for winning, but they were. I've seen a notable amount of times where they got picked, but I just think the amount of coaching, and they have just experience here. They've beaten they've traded games with UConn. They've beaten UConn twice, while they lost once to UConn. They had a pretty close game against Alabama. We'll get to Alabama later with their current situation. They lost to one score from Iowa State game, and there's just not many notable results from this, Northern Iowa team. I mean,
if you look at it, though, they're both top 15 in defense.
Yeah, so this could maybe...
St. John's being 13 and Northern Iowa being 11.
This could be a very...
However, Northern Iowa struggles defensively. Offensively.
Yeah, and especially in games like this, you cannot, especially in college basketball, you cannot only be solely relying on defense, unless it's like top of the nation like Houston or something like that.
But you can't forget. What's that iconic saying again?
What?
A good offense.
Good offense, good defense?
I can't remember how it goes, dude. I always forget it. The best offense is a good defense.
I guess,
that's what it is.
But if you don't have any offense, then I don't know how you're going to get any of that defense.
All right, next, Kansas and California Baptist.
I just don't know. I think...
Do we need to talk about this?
I don't even really think... I maybe picked one bracket where I say Cal Baptist maybe gets the upset, but I just
Is that your joke bracket?
You got to mix it up to get the perfect one. But I just think that KU has just always been, one of the top teams every single March. They're always a team that you can't really write off. So I just think this is a pretty...
Yeah, then they're also the team that gets upset the most.
Well, I guess, but this could maybe people are overlooking this, but just the rankings on KU has the number 1 strength of schedule. They've played the best team. They've played the most.
Do they really have number 1?
It says here, yeah, number 1 strength of schedule. So this I just think that KU's been battle tested for many years. They have Darren Peterson, who is obviously a very top draft. His draft stock's up. But
does he really want to play basketball? That's my question, because it feels like he doesn't.
There's been a lot of, kind of controversy with him in this season, but I just kind of feel that either with him or without him, KU is still a very well-oiled machine that can, go out there and they know how to win basketball games.
Definitely.
But next on this is one of the most talked about games this year. The Louisville versus South Florida.
Definitely chance of an upset.
There is a very high chance of upset. If we're looking down here at offensive stats, we're seeing, less turnovers from Southern Florida and a better offensive rebounding by a few percentage. And yet again, we were talking about how, in single games where, if you lose, you're out, the stress can come on. And if you can get those, extra chance points, that can eventually lead to, strong wins.
And looking at this, Louisville's offense they're pretty efficient on offense. They're scoring 1.17 points per game, which is possession, my bad. But that's pretty high level.
Yeah, but it seems that the Southern Florida ranks 16 in offensive rebounding, that's amazing. But it shows that they also tend to struggle with 3-point shots, and if you can't be knocked, they just for going for a high amount of 3-pointers in a game, that could cost you a lot. But I don't think they're gonna rely on the 3-ball this game.
Definitely not. They're gonna sort of do what Arizona's done this entire season. If they're open, they'll take it. If not, they'll just attack until they can get something working on the inside.
Yeah, but and plus with the mixing of those offensive rebounds, I think they could get a lot of second chance points. So this game's a pretty big toss-up. I think honestly, I've been going 50-50 with this game. It's something, we'll see.
It's just gonna be like last year for Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville always has a pretty interesting time, but I do not hate you if you say Southern Florida. I do not hate you. It's if you say Louisville.
But I'm going Louisville.
I think I'm also taking Louisville.
All right, Michigan State
Michigan
and
State-
North Dakota State.
Yeah, I have heard actually nothing about this North Dakota State.
Maybe in football this would be a close match.
Maybe.
But basketball, I don't think it's going to be anything close.
I mean, both teams have it shows for their, at least for North Dakota State, it shows their strength are in defense. The Bisons rank 16th in defensive rebounding, but it also shows that the Spartans excel at defensive rebounding as well. So this is going to be a battle of the glass. Who's going to catch more rebounds and, be able to control the ball more? So, I mean, it really just comes down to that, but I just think Michigan State is just far and away the better team. I really don't feel like this is much of a conversation.
All right, UCLA and UCF. This is one I've heard a lot of talk about.
I've heard a lot about UCF. So, there is kind of a split here with, the rankings. They're very close in strength of schedule. They're only about 10. UCLA is on 22 in strength of schedule, and UCF's only 32.
Yeah, I don't agree with that though. Like UCF, they've had to play Arizona, Texas Tech, Houston.
Let me check.
BYU, they've had to play all these elite teams. They've had to play in the Big 12.
Yeah, UCF has played a very close game against Vanderbilt, who's obviously a very hot team currently. They've beaten Kansas early in 2026. They've had to play against Arizona. They have had to play against Iowa State. They've beat Texas Tech. They lost to the Houston Cougars, and they beat BYU, and they yet again lost to Arizona. While UCLA has had to play, they had a very close game against Arizona. They lost to about 10 from Gonzaga. They've beat Purdue, and then they've lost against both Michigan teams, Michigan and Michigan State. And then they won against Illinois quite recently in February, and then they also, I think in the tournament, they beat Michigan State, but then losing to Purdue in the final. But I just don't fully know too much about this UCF team to really want to pick them over UCLA.
See, I'm the other way. Dude. I think UCF has this game.
And
it's going to be a close game, but UCF definitely can win. They just need to rely on the offensive glass.
It looks like both of these teams also excel with 3-point shots. Yet again, if you can get hot with 3-pointers in this tournament, you will be able to win games, especially in close games like this.
If you try to continue that to next game, and you can't hit a shot.
You just have to hit it.
It's live or die.
But maybe against these two teams that are both live and die by the 3-ball, it seems that, this could be a very interesting game, and this could upset a lot of brackets. But I personally have the Bruins going on to the next round.
I got UCF, so.
And now we have another interesting
UConn
game.
versus Furman. I don't think it's going to be close.
I mean, last
just
time Furman was in the tournament, guys.
What happened? I can't remember.
They beat Virginia. Remember, Virginia had that bonehead play where they threw it against. They threw it half court and Furman picked it off and they scored.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's not going to repeat.
I just don't think that's going to repeat.
UConn's coaching staff won't let that happen.
UConn would never let that happen. UConn's a very high-ranking defense, so I mean, this is just another one of those this is just David and Goliath. I just don't see anything with upsets happening here.
All right, next we got Florida versus is it Lehigh or Prairie View?
Yeah, it's both of those teams that we see now. Yeah, down in the south here.
It's just not going to be much of a game anyway.
No,
so I'm picking Florida.
This is yet again another easy pick for Florida. Now,
this game.
Another 8 and 9. These 8 and 9 matchups have year in and year out, they've always been very close.
I mean, that's sort of the point of these ones.
That basically is. We got Clemson versus Iowa. Now, I think this is honestly the most closest percentage. We have 48 to Clemson and 52 picking Iowa. I mean, this just looks across the stats here. It's all split. It's either
completely
one way.
Even. I still think though Clemson is more battle tested. They play in the ACC. They have, I mean, don't get me wrong, Big Ten, great basketball conference and all, but I feel like the ACC just has a slight edge especially at the top.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely played very strong teams, and some of the games have been a little bit close. They've gotten good wins against Louisville and North Carolina. They have lost only by a few points to Duke. They contended with BYU and Alabama. But Iowa, they've played... Iowa has not really had the greatest. The notable results are only coming from a win against Nebraska. But we just kind of need to see... I don't know. In earlier March Madnesses, I have not trusted Clemson fully with games. I know they've They lost to McNeese in the first round last year. But I think, honestly, this game could go either way yet again. I personally think Iowa will be able to get the win. I know Clemson's more battle-tested, but I don't know. I feel like Iowa just has...
I'm going to have to go the opposite on you. I think Clemson will.
That's completely... That's fair. It just,
It's such a tight...
It's such a close game that, no matter who you pick, I think it could go either way.
All right, next we got Vanderbilt versus McNeese. This isn't going to be much of a game.
I think this is a fake upset that people are talking about.
Yeah, this is a fake upset.
Loved McNeese last year. I was riding them all the way. I love this team, but I think Vanderbilt is just the better team. They're now
definitely.
They're right now like one of the hottest teams. They just took down the number 1 seeded Florida in the tournament before. I just don't think people are maybe saying possible upsets for this game, but I just don't see it happening at all. I know, but this is just a pretty easy game here.
All right, Nebraska and Troy.
I've seen
not
a
much
little
of
bit
a game.
upsets, but
I've not seen anything about an upset in this.
I just know that neither of these teams have ever won a game in March, but I just think.
Are you being for real?
Yeah, for real. Nebraska's never won and Troy's never won, so this is a first for either team. But I think
it's going to be Nebraska.
I think Nebraska ball got it.
All right, North Carolina VCU. Definitely a potential upset here.
I think this is probably one of the most picked upset games.
VCU. It's always VCU.
I picked VCU last year to win against BYU, and I was wrong.
Yeah, you regret that, don't you?
Yes, I do. But I think this year I'm going to stick with VCU. I just don't think the Tar Heels are as proven this year. I just think VCU can maybe be able to get it done here.
I agree with you. I think North Carolina's got this game.
Yeah, that's okay. I just think VCU can get the upset,
I mean, they definitely can, but I think North Carolina will have.
They're definitely more tested. But next, we have Illinois versus Penn. And now Penn had a crazy game against Yale with, I think his name was TJ Power. He had about 40 points in that game. But I don't think the Ivy League can get it done in this tournament.
I agree with you on that. They're 16-11.
That's just...
That's not good.
It's just not the greatest.
No.
But I know...
So I got Illinois winning this.
Yeah, this is a very easy Illinois game. They have a very explosive offense. It's just going to come down to that.
St. Mary's versus Texas A&M.
I am very torn on this game. I know people have a lot of St. Mary's, and I think I also would have to agree with St. Mary's.
Yeah, same here. I mean, they've had to play Gonzaga, I think 3 times now, including in the playoff in their WCC tournament.
But I've also picked A&M a few times. I don't know. I just think that St. Mary's I've seen St. Mary's a lot more around this kind of low mid seedage in this tournament for the past few years. So I just think St. Mary's should be able to get this done. Yeah.
All right, Houston, Idaho.
Idaho.
We don't need to talk about this. It's Houston's
Cougars.
Defense
is going to be able to get this done.
Yeah. All right, Arizona
moving
versus
to the west here.
Long Island.
I know people have been talking about the Finns, but this is...
I don't think I've heard anybody say
I've been seeing cult followings for this Finns team, but it's Arizona. They're the number 1 team in the country.
Villanova versus Utah State.
I know this is another 8 and 9 matchup, but I really think Utah State will.
I think Utah State will too.
I don't think Villanova has had that great of a basketball team ever since they won a few years ago. I just don't think there hasn't been much they don't really do anything that's crazy that we'll look at on the stats and just kind of see that they're
I haven't heard of anything.
Favorable.
I haven't heard anything about them this year. Normally you do.
Yeah, they're always kind of a team that you'll expect to be in the tournament, but I just don't know if they'll be able to get it done against Utah State. I just don't think so.
I got Utah State.
I also have Utah State.
All right, Wisconsin, High Point.
I think this is another fake upset that people have been talking about.
Definitely.
I think Wisconsin is one of the hottest teams after they went so close against Michigan.
I wouldn't say hottest, but definitely
That's
a potential contender.
They're definitely
a Sweet
potential.
16.
Yeah, they have maybe a run, but they do need.
Actually,
to play.
no, they probably will unless they lose to Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas is still going to be.
But I still think the Badgers have this game.
Definitely. Wisconsin, Hawaii, another one we don't really need to talk about.
I just don't think. Yeah. I know Arizona has a blazing. They have a very good defense. Now, we have BYU versus Texas. And I know, obviously, you have some, favoritism, but I really do think that BYU should be able to crush this Texas team. This Texas team is not that good. 18-13 coming in on the season. I don't know. BYU, they also have AJ DeBonza.
Yeah, AJ DeBonza.
I just think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be easy, but I think it's gonna be a very solid win for BYU.
This Texas team isn't that good though.
Yeah, I haven't
They just haven't won enough. Then neither has BYU.
That's true, but you do.
We also have one of the hardest strength of schedules and play in the best conference.
Yeah,
so.
and plus you have one of the highest ranking projected NBA
second
draft prospects.
Still second
behind Boozer, but
no,
really
Peterson.
Peterson. Well,
which I don't agree on.
We can see how that could technically happen with his mentality he's going into the season.
I mean, it's just he's always out. You can't rely on him.
Yeah, BYU. Next, another game I think this is just a very easy. The Gonzaga versus Kennesaw State, I just don't see. I think Gonzaga is honestly a very sleeper pick team to the Sweet 16. I don't see anything happening here.
Gonzaga Sweet 16 sleeper?
Possibly. I think they get through BYU. I mean, not a sleeper, but I think they're an Elite 8 possibility. They have to go through. They have to play Kennesaw, then they play BYU, then they have to play Purdue. And I haven't really heard. I know Purdue is obviously one of those teams.
If Purdue beats whoever they play in the next round,
yeah,
because I think they'll win.
Now, this is a game for, all people in Missouri. Miami versus Mizzou. Now, this is basically a home game for Mizzou as they're playing in Enterprise City. Well, Enterprise in St. Louis City. So I want to obviously say Mizzou because
I don't think it'll be, though. Miami's played some pretty good ball this entire season.
Yeah. On recent games, they're 18th. And they also have they're also 12th ranked in the hardest away games. I just don't know, especially coming into this atmosphere full of Mizzou fans. This their away game strength is going to come in valuable.
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about Purdue or Queens. Purdue's going to win.
Now, last coming to the Midwest region, Michigan versus Howard.
Don't need to talk about. Michigan's going to win this.
This is a Michigan, this is a very easy Michigan game.
Georgia slew. This is going to be a good game. It really is a home game for
I think this
SLU.
Is yet again another very close game. We have a little bit of favoritism towards SLU, but for some reason I just think the vibes and the narrative of SLU basketball this year is just going to be able to get through. I think they'll be able to topple Georgia.
They're on the biggest decline though out of any tournament team right now.
That's fair. I haven't really heard much about this.
Trust me, I want SLU to win, but I think Georgia will end up winning.
I think that's fair, but gotta believe. I think personally SLU will be able to win. Now this game,
Tech Akron.
People
have been saying it's an upset. I don't think it is at all.
I personally think the Zips are going to get past Texas Tech. Without TJ Toppin.
You're actually crazy.
I am being
JT Toppin, they don't need him.
I mean,
they don't need him.
We'll see, but
I'm telling you right now, Texas Tech does not need JT Toppin to win, especially against Akron. I mean, I know they won the MAC. But still.
I mean, Texas Tech looks a very solid team, but, it's March. Something's got to happen.
Tech is the best three-point shooting team by percentage.
But what happens if they start missing?
True. But they haven't this entire season.
But we'll see. But I personally think this is my first major upset of the tournament, and I think Akron will go into the next round.
I have Tech.
But I don't hate that Tech pick. I just personally think it's March. Got to pick someone.
All right. Alabama, Hofstra.
Obviously, coming off in the news that who was it that got arrested?
I don't remember his name. Give me a second.
But obviously, coming off, we'll get to that in a second. But Alabama losing one of their, stronger players to Aiden Holloway, his name is?
Yeah, Aiden Holloway.
Aiden Holloway losing him for this tournament, obviously getting arrested, that could bring some, pretty negative vibes to this team.
I still don't think they're going to lose.
I still don't think they'll be affected by this Hofstra.
It won't be as much of a cakewalk, but they'll still win.
No, but do not look. I'm not going to expect anything from this Bama team for the rest of the tournament.
This next game, it's Tennessee versus either SMU or Miami of Ohio.
I want to possibly maybe say I want to see.
This could be a potential upset. We just need to see which team wins, SMU or Miami.
I think obviously Miami,
either team
Ohio,
can upset Tennessee though.
SMU is going to get the win, and I honestly could maybe see an SMU upset. I'm not going to hate an SMU upset.
I actually agree with that one. I like that. I like that pick.
They're very close on stats for schedules, power rankings, but I think maybe there could be an SMU upset.
All right, Virginia,
Wright State.
Wright State.
I've heard nothing about
Nothing
Wright
about
State.
this.
I think, is a pretty easy win for
Virginia. All right, Kentucky, Santa Clara.
There's been a lot of talk about Santa Clara, but I just don't. Obviously Kentucky is one of the.
Kentucky's not been great this year. I'm sorry, Mark Pope, but
and for any
your
other
team has been
year,
struggling way too much.
Kentucky's been the one team you always see getting upsetted by this random team. I think that's fair, but I don't think this year is the year. I think Kentucky
I'm still gonna have to go with Kentucky. All right, Iowa State versus Tennessee State.
I am never really high rated on Iowa State during March Madness, but I just think this is quite an easy game for Iowa State. But that is all of the first round matchups that we're seeing here. I think this is gonna be a pretty interesting March.
Yeah, definitely.
I know a lot of the talk has been who's going to be the final teams. I personally think Michigan's going to take it home this year.
I think Arizona is.
I just want to see some good basketball and some crazy upsets.
Definitely some upsets.
If you get the perfect bracket, then obviously we helped you out a little bit with those picks, hopefully.
And that's just ridiculous.
I don't think we're ever going to see a chance for a perfect bracket. It's 1.92 quintillion. I just don't think it's going to happen. But maybe we'll get close this year. But I feel like that's it for March Madness. We'll be back with another episode after we come back from spring break, talking about the final teams here. But yeah, that's basically everything from us.
Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.